Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar.
Welcome back to another episode of Easy Dubs. I'm your host, Easton Doyle. I have two great cappers on this week covering the Masters. I know it's all, for golf fans, it's kind of our favorite week of the year because we get to look at Augusta for 4 days, which I kind of like. Two guys we have on today. We've got Ryan from Sharp Minds. You can find him on Twitter at SharpMinds247. And Evan from Teaser Nation. You can find him at Teaser Nation on Twitter. Let's just hop into it, guys. If you're ready, I think there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the Masters and trying to figure out who to pick. And I think a lot of casual fans are going to be doing the kind of different pools and stuff. So I'd love to start with I'd love to hear kind of some of the picks you guys have going into the week. Who are some of your favorites? And let's just start with Ryan.
I guess I'll go first then.
Go
so
ahead.
for right now, I kind of really haven't finalized my card yet. That will probably come out tomorrow night. But just for a couple outrights, I'm eyeing up right now, just first glance. So mainly what I look at, I guess, for the Masters is, I obviously still do my Fantasy National stuff. So I'm really looking at off the tee because obviously there's a lot of pretty narrow fairways. There's no rough here, obviously. Everyone knows that, but there's a lot of trees. Narrow fairways, so definitely off the tee is important here. I'm also looking at par 5 scoring. That's definitely important everywhere, every course, and proximity 175 to 200. So just a couple guys that pop up. I think I'm going to go with Justin Thomas this week at 14 to 1 to start my card. I kind of just like he's really been in good form lately throughout the Florida swing. Kind of struggled at the Players over the weekend, but I kind of liked his game at the Valspar. Just kind of needs to tighten up a little on a Sunday. But I definitely like him. I think he's due for a Masters. Something he really wants and something he's missing. So I'm definitely going to start my card with him. I don't know about this guy yet because I feel like everyone and their mother's on him right now, which is Brooks Koepka at 20 to 1. Literally seen him about like 300 times on Twitter. So I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, but he's also been in good form around the Florida swing. Obviously, everyone knows about his Masters prowess or his major prowess. So he's definitely going to be up for this one. I'm still kind of debating on that one if I want to take that chalk because obviously everyone's on him. And then one kind of mid-tier to long shot, I would say, is Adam Scott. He's been pretty hot with the putter the past 2 months. He's been in contention, honestly, in the Genesis, I believe, and another tournament as well. He's kind of just had a couple big numbers here and there that led him to not winning those tournaments. So I definitely like him at the Masters here. He's coming in great form, so at 55 to 1, I like him as well. I'll probably add a couple more guys, but I do not know who else yet. So that's who I'm going to start with this week.
All right, and for me,
Ryan, how about you?
So it's funny you say Brooks Koepka. I'll be 301 on him, and I also am on Justin Thomas. And the other three guys that I have on my card right now are Cam Smith at 15 to 1. Some people have 30s out there from like months ago. I was kind of slow to the chase on that one, but 15 with probably the hottest guy right now. I like the fact that he hasn't overplayed. You see a lot of these guys burnt out from that Florida swing. Look at injuries left and right. You got Paul Casey, you have Hideki, you have Answer, you have Webb. All these guys, I'll get more into that later, but they're injured. There's just too much golf going on, and Cam Smith's in a happy place right now. How many times he talked about his family? He hasn't seen them in years. He just spent weeks with them. So he's coming in real fresh. He sounded like that in his interview. So I'm all over Cam Smith again. Ride the hot hand. And then the last two I'm on right now are Willie Z. We got our ride Zalatoris. Ironically, it seems like a putting show around here, but I'll get more into that later. It actually seems to not be a putting show in the Masters so much. A lot of guys who can't putt actually come out and win the Masters. And then my fifth guy right now is Fitzpatrick at 55 to 1. The guy is, if you look at his numbers, he's steady. He has multiple top 20s here at Augusta. And kind of how I got on these numbers is when you look at Augusta, you kind of have a few things you really need to target. You have tee to green, obviously approach. Even if you hit the fairways, that doesn't mean you have an easy angle. So you need to be able to be creative and move the ball both ways. One key stat that I'm really looking at is the par 4 birdie or better. I found a cool stat actually. People think the par 5s. Don't get me wrong. You have to score on the par 5s because otherwise you want to get around at par. But the par 4s can eat you alive out here. And actually, if you look at the previous 8 winners, you have Dustin Johnson in 2020. He was second at birdie or better on par 4s. Patrick Reed in 2018 was 7th. Tiger Woods in 19 was 11th, but that was from the prior year. Danny Willett in 2016 random, but he was second in par 4. Spieth in 15 was first. Bubba in 14 was 5th. So you see these guys can get these 450-yard plus par 4s and get out of there with maybe a birdie around, and the rest are pars, while the other guys are making doubles, triples. So you want to get the par 5s, but people can scramble around and get pars on the 5s. They might not take advantage by making no birdies, but it's the 4s. If you can get a birdie on a par 4 on this course and then get a couple 5s, you're right in contention. And then 3-putt avoidance. It shows to be pretty big around here. So guys like Justin Thomas, actually, he's averaging approach to putting is a weird stat, but that's basically after you hit the putt, how close you are to the hole. JT is number 1 at 1 inch. So you want guys to be who know how to lag putt. JT, Cameron Smith, number 2 up there. Adam Scott, Cantley, Burns, Leishman. All of these guys are pretty good at 3-putt avoidance. So I don't have them on my card, but they're guys you can look at attacking in the deeper market. So that's basically where I'm going with this. The 5 guys again: JT, Cam Smith, Brooks, Zalatoris, and Fitzpatrick are my outrights. And then I'm sure we'll talk about a lot more of this later. But I have other couple sleepers that I'm looking at and who I want to attack in the prop markets and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
One of the guys that you guys didn't mention in either of your cards is my guy Scotty Scheffler, who is, the dude is hot as ever. Is there a reason you guys aren't betting him? I think, personally going into the Masters, not sure what his prospects look like, but as a guy that's won 3 out of the last 5, do you think, he's got a good shot at the weekend, or do you think there's kind of, again, when you go into those bigger numbers, when you look at kind of 3 putting and that par 4 scoring, that's one of the kind of things you factor in when looking at him?
I don't think he's going to win 4 out of 6. That's my theory. I'm just not. I'm not going to take 12-1 either. Obviously he's number 1 in the world now, but I just don't like that number with Scotty Scheffler. He's obviously, yeah, you're right, he's hot, but I just can't see him keeping it up. I'm just going to stay away from him. It's kind of obviously it's a whole different story with Tiger Woods, but that's why I'm staying away from Tiger too. I'm just going to stay away from Scheffler for 2 different reasons, but I'm just not going to get in the way of it. Maybe I'll take, if Scheffler goes even the first day, maybe 1 over, maybe I'll get him outright at a better number, but I don't want to take 12-1 on him right now. So hopefully he doesn't go low the first day. Maybe I'll grab him outright then. So I would say with him, for me, it would be more of a live outright if he is 6 strokes back or something heading into the weekend.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, it's kind of funny we're saying we don't really like him. The guy won 3 of 5, and his 2 starts there are 18th and 19th. So that's before he's even on the map, really. So this guy, you told me he came in 18th and 19th. One of them was, I think, in, what was that, November? Or am I forgetting a year? But either way, my man got around this course before he was really known, and with 2 top 20s. So, but the thing is, it is hard to win twice. So to me, when you look at the guys around him, there's just some guys who have been there, and this is always an experienced course. He is number 1 in the world now, but 20 of the last 22 winners at the Masters were top 30 in the world. So this is not a tournament you want to be getting out of the chalk almost. So, but when you look at the other chalk around him, I think he's just kind of, his numbers just getting hammered down next to these crazy names. And he's number 1 he is the number 1 in the world right now. I don't know if he is the number 1 in the world, though, if that makes any sense. And there's other numbers that I think are more attainable, more hungry. There's guys who've been here year and year who just are breathing for this tournament. One of them is Justin Thomas at essentially the same number or better. I mean, if the guy could putt a lick, he's getting better. He's trending his last few tournaments. Other than the Phoenix Open where he lost like 300 strokes putting because I had him that week. He came in 8th and couldn't putt in the ocean. But yeah, I think it just comes out of the number. I see guys on Twitter with 33s and stuff. Like, okay, great, but like Evan said, I might try to attack him late. Maybe attack him in his. I forget the tee times. Maybe attack him in his groups, or maybe I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I think what Evan said is kind of right up that right alley where you're talking about trying to get him at a better number, just because sticking him up there. Yeah, like you said, he is the number 1 player in the world, but when you put him up there next to Rom and DJ and JT, it's guys that are proven kind of in these big events. It's like, well, maybe we'll take the pedigree rather than the guy who just kind of rose in the last couple of months. I could have started with Tiger talk, but I decided to kind of let you guys talk a little bit, hear about some other players first. I'd love to get into talk about Tiger. One of the things that I kind of want to ask you guys about is how Tiger just, like, what the factor is, not even in terms of him, like, betting him to win or anything like that, but do you think there's an impact that Tiger will have on, like, either these younger players that maybe it'll, like, the nerves will get to him a little bit because there's a little bit more intrigue around Tiger, or do you think it might benefit those younger players where it takes some of the pressure off these guys?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good question. Like, I was actually thinking about that today because with a tournament matchup, I was actually, because he's in, I think, Neiman's and Oosthuizen's group with Tiger, so I was actually looking at a matchup, Scott over Neiman, just to go off that. I don't know, maybe Neiman's up for it, but I do think playing with Tiger with bigger crowds, maybe more noise behind him, I don't know, maybe he plays worse than, maybe he gets a little nervous playing with him with the big crowds. But yeah, I was actually looking at that today. I don't know if I want to take that route yet, but I was thinking about, maybe the younger guys getting a little bit nervous. I mean, for some guys, they may play better. Like, I know, Justin Thomas isn't really a young guy anymore, but obviously he rises to the occasion when he's with those guys like that. But yeah, I mean, some guys, I'm sure Scheffler would rise to the occasion. It's kind of just playing a guessing game. Like, you don't really want to get into that, but so I don't know. I would say, like, he can be nerve wracking, but I'm not sure how they feel because they've kind of been there before. So I don't know what his takes on it, but
I just am so used to hearing like the Tiger roars, those Tiger roars in the background as he's walking around the golf course, and these guys are 12, 13, and you hear Tiger on 6, 7, or 8, and you hear that there's so much that goes into just having him at the event. So that's where I'm kind of coming from for this. Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think Neiman has shown the ability that, he's young, but he's been around.
Yeah.
But the one thing that could affect him is just kind of I heard this on Golf Channel, so I credit them, but it's a good point. Neiman plays fast, and you're going to be playing with Tiger, who's going to be, and it's going to be soft when he goes out there on Thursday, so you want to be careful. So it's going to be a little slower pace, and I think Oosthuizen's been used to it. I'm not worried about him. But you got to worry about these guys who just need to maybe get to their ball real fast, and then they're just waiting around, and like you hear these different noises. So I think for Neiman, it'll come down to just, okay, focus on every shot, and then just like, I have to wait now a little bit. I mean, I'm not who's going to be further, but either way, you're waiting until everyone's in position before you hit. And this crowd's always moving, and Tiger's going to be a little slower. So I think that could actually maybe mess up his rhythm a little bit. I don't know about the mentality of it because the guy's the player, but when it comes to Sunday, we're talking different depending on who he's with.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it just comes down. He needs to adjust his play style because I remember he played that one round when he was the first one out because some guy WD'd and he played. I think it was like an hour and 30, 40 minutes. Him and his caddy ran around the course. I mean, he doesn't do that, but the guy likes to play fast. Not many people would have just decided to do that. He has fun playing fast, and Tiger's going to be a little slower, so we'll see what he does.
No, I think that's a great insight. I mean, I think slowness of play. I think it's something that we probably don't factor in very often. But when it comes to something like this, when you're talking about the Masters, you're talking about massive crowds. You're talking about moving a lot of people around a golf course, and especially if they're following a guy like Tiger, it could come into play a lot more. Another one of the questions that I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about is just talking about. There's been there's been a little bit of speculation. I know that they changed 11 and 15 and lengthened them a little bit. Do you think, I know maybe you guys haven't done a lot of research into this, but are there a couple of holes that you guys see, being really important? Obviously, you mentioned par 4 scoring earlier, Ryan, but when you look at I feel like we think of, back 9 on Sunday, you look at 13 and 15, you got those par 5s. 15 used to be pretty gettable, guys were hitting it over the water, and then now if they've lengthened it, it may not be as gettable in 2. So, I don't know, pick out a couple of holes maybe that you guys have in mind that could come in as pretty crucial to deciding who ends up winning.
Yeah, you can go first.
I mean, I believe they extended 15. Did they not? I believe they did. So
yeah,
that's a par 5 that's already really tough. So I mean, from hearing the players say, especially depending on where the wind is, because the wind is supposed to actually show up at Augusta this week, come the weekend. So I'm thinking we can see a -7, 8 score. The guys who are out Thursday early might want to try to get to 5, 6, and then I don't think it's going to get much better. But so if that wind's in your face, the second shot with this extra length, there's guys saying that they're going to be hitting 3, 4 iron versus 6s, and that brings everything into play with the water and all that. So I think 15's a brute. And 11, I've heard, obviously we know they got rid of a lot of the trees, and now the layout to the right, a lot of people like to bail out to the right on their approach because the water there on the front left. But I've heard that they have a bunch of undulations and hills there now they've created, so it's not a gimme anymore to just lay up. So yeah, I think obviously the holes that they changed, they did them for a reason. I'll be interested to see 15. I think 15 is going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of guys who are going for it because they have to, and they don't really have the club, and we'll see what happens. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll say definitely 11's probably the beast on the course. I think it plays the hardest here with a 4.4 average. So yeah, I think they upped it to 505 this year. So that's crazy right there. Definitely, obviously, amen corner you got to get through. But I was kind of pivoting more to the front 9. There's a couple holes. I think if guys can get around, I think 1's a pretty tough hole. It's second ranked. The 4th hole, I believe, that tough par 4 plays 240. Tough par 3 plays 240. That's a tough hole. If you can kind of escape the front 9, maybe with a couple pars on those tough holes, because there is some that you have to get through, I think you will be good. I personally think the back 9's a little easier. I don't know if you guys kind of agree. I know there's amen corner, but I think there's there's some more gettable holes on the back 9. So I think I would be looking more at the front 9, kind of just to get by there and, go coast into the back 9. But obviously there's more probably risk on the back 9. But
I think 15, maybe there's scores out there, but there's also scores out there. So
right.
It's going to be risk reward, and that's why they have it that way. It always comes down to inland corner, and then when it comes Sunday, it's how it's always settled. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. But I agree on everything.
No,
the front might be more of a distance, and a lot of those tee shots, I think 5, 7, they're pretty tight, especially if you're a fader of the ball. I know DJ was saying he struggles on those holes, and I know Morikawa was saying that he used to try to hit a draw on purpose his last few times here, but he doesn't have to do that anymore. Just trust your cut, play it off the trees on the left, and he's going to actually try to do that this year. So I'm interested to see what Morikawa does this year, actually. But that's
no, for sure. I think you guys are spot on. I mean, I think looking at we always focus on amen corner. I think that's where kind of I was heading with that. But we don't always consider what might happen on that front 9 and see how those guys might even tumble early and then not even factor in on that back 9 when the holes seem to get a little bit more important. I guess kind of going off that, I know you mentioned Morikawa. I don't really see him as much of a long shot, but I'd love to hear kind of some of your long shots for the weekend. I know Ryan mentioned you said 20 of the last 22 winners were sitting in the top 30. So maybe long shots aren't exactly what you're aiming for on Masters Week, but who are maybe a couple of long shots that you guys are eyeing, even just come the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I get like Ryan was saying, I wasn't even going to look at any long shots, to be honest with you. I really do think the winner's going to be in that chalk range, like 10 to maybe 30. I do think one of the big boys will win it, but if I had a pick, I'm not really liking how this guy is playing right now, but you can't really ignore his recent or his history here. His fee now at 60-1. And that's a pretty decent number on the guy, but he's playing pretty bad golf right now, so that's kind of like a tread carefully type thing there. But if I'm looking at the board, I would say Justin Rose. I'm just looking at with the long shots history here. He'll probably go 6 under, the first day and then just choke over the weekend like he usually does here. But at least you'll have a guy in contention maybe. One crazy number I was actually looking at was Taylor Gooch at 150-1, which is obviously I don't think he's going to win the tournament, but I think that's a pretty big number on him. He's been playing pretty decent this year. Yeah, that's maybe 3 guys I would kind of look at. I would just go Gooch, like really small. I just kind of like that number on him. Obviously, he's not going to win, but if you want to take a chance at a long shot.
For sure.
Yeah,
And, I was looking at even like some. Oh, go ahead, Ryan. Don't want to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was looking at kind of just at the leader, kind of the chart and different guys, current odds at least going into the tournament. And I'm looking at a guy like Max Homa, and maybe that's just personal bias. I just kind of like his swagger and his ugly mustache, but he's sitting at 100-1, which could be, again, is one of those interesting numbers where you think about, throwing a couple bucks. But Ryan, keep going. Go ahead.
So one of the beautiful things about the Masters is I kept saying how 20 to 22 top 30 of the last winners, but the other thing to take into account is there's about 8 of these veteran guys who don't even have status on tour anymore, like Mize and Couples and all, and that's 8 guys. VJ, it's 8 guys. Langer, Langer might be one of the best, but he's now finally not going to hang around until the weekend anymore. He missed a cut last year. I think he's finally over the hump. I think it was incredible. But so you get 8 of those guys get rid of. Then you have about 8 amateurs. An amateur is not going to win here unless Tiger's born again. I'm sorry. So that's another 8. And then you have the guys I mentioned like Casey, Answer, Webb. Who else I say? Bryson, Hideki. Those guys are all just very wild card, and honestly, they don't look. They're basically saying they don't feel well. So there's another 8 guys. So all of a sudden, I just eliminated. This might be a freezing cold take, but I just eliminated about 22 people, and then the field's now down to 70 guys. So then you can almost cut that in half. But for a long shot, I'm looking at a couple guys like Thomas Peters will be one. He actually had a 4th place finish here in when was it? It was 2017. Then that's kind of when he came onto the map, I think, a little bit, and I started personally noticing him. And then he obviously has a hot temper, and he kind of just plays overseas, but he's finally in form for once. The guy is low-key great short game, so look for Peters, especially for maybe a T20 or a bomb long shot. I also am looking at Luke List. The guy doesn't have the best experience here, but he's leading. He's in the top 25 in approach and off the tee. The guy is number 1 in tee to green, I think. He's just kind of been he loses 5 strokes at a freaking front 9 on putting. The guy is horrific, and that's the thing I wanted to bring up. That there was a study done that the people putting doesn't actually prove to be winners out here. It's kind of crazy. So I'll find a stat later, but so you don't really need. I'm not going to focus too much on putting. I just need guys who like to get up and down, who are going to hit fairways. So I'll look at Thomas Peters at I think he's 90-1. Luke List around 120, and then you got a guy like Siwoo Kim at 85-1. The guy ironically has 3 top 20s at Augusta. You wouldn't even know, and he's probably playing the best golf he has. And maybe he wants to keep his the green jacket in Asia. You know what I mean? So I don't know. The guy's fired up.
No, I love it. I love it.
I think let's see Luke Kim and Peters for me. I don't hate Homa either, by the way. I don't hate Homa, but he has 2 missed cuts here. But he is playing well, so I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just looking at who's on a hot streak. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I just wanted to leave it open if you guys had any final thoughts.
Yeah, no, I also do want to add one guy, another South Korean guy, Sung Jae. I guess he's at 80 to 1. That's another great number on a guy. I mean, so yeah, that's if you're looking, I definitely like him as well. But yeah, just a final thought. I mean, I'm just excited for the week, man. I just can't wait to see what happens. I'm gonna probably do some more research tomorrow. Grind it out, get some placements and matchups in there. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what's gonna happen. See Tiger in action. Maybe he makes the cut. I don't know. Maybe I'll take a miscut at plus 110. We'll see. I don't know. But and then I can't wait to see Xander fall apart down the stretch when he's having the lead on Sunday, because that always happens. So
Not my
maybe.
guy.
Yeah, I love Xander. I mean, I'm kind of over Xander at this point. He kind of pissed me off at the match play. I thought that was such an easy group for him to win, but he kind of blew it. So I'm over him. But I think he gets a green jacket, in the next 4 years. But you never know. He's holding on to that gold medal too tight. He's got to get a win here.
Yeah, and I guess
Ryan?
my closing thoughts are just a few fun little props for people. I mean, I don't know exactly the odds, but I'm looking at some fun bets on Gooch to be the top debutant at like 100 to 1. I like Harrington to be the top senior because not many other guys can hang. I think he's around 3 to 1. Connor's top Canadian because my man likes to hit greens and he's actually putting for once. And again, I'll keep saying that putting doesn't even matter that much. If you really look, I can't find the stats, but I'll bring it up eventually. But it showed like the best putters I think was Spieth one year, but then there's guys in the hundreds like all over the place who won. So I don't know how that works, but and then Nakajima I like for top end. So that kid's a player. So there's just some four little top props that I like, and yeah, I just look forward to the weekend. I'm glad to work from home so I can watch a lot of it.
What do you got, top lefty? Do you have top lefty or no?
Yeah, Mike Weir.
Yeah.
No,
I kind of like Big Bob.
he's like 1,000,000 to 1. Yeah, I
hear.
don't. Nah, I don't know who's top lefty. I'm trying to think who is lefty, but
Wow, we got no Phil this year, so we can't even talk about him.
yeah, this
That's
time
too controversial.
Phil was like making those videos about bombs at Augusta, walking on Magnolia Lane, and now my man's like going cold. They need a wellness check for him. I don't know.
Yeah, he went dark. No, exactly. Well, thank you guys. For listeners, you can find Evan on Twitter, just again, at Teaser Nation, and Ryan also on Twitter, at SharpMinds247. Boys, it was a pleasure. Hope to have you on again soon.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
Peace.